So guys, today, apart from our video on the channel today, we have the Newcastle United versus Crystal Palace preview. Back for the cup we are. We've got a big game against Crystal Palace at home against St James's Park. I will be there vlogging, and hopefully we can go to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. Make sure you like, boys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It would mean a lot if you could do so. Anyways, we've got a lot to speak about. Newcastle and Palace have just played. I'm recording this video on the Sunday. We've both just played at the same time. Both went full time, obviously. Done all the videos for the Southampton game, and Crystal Palace got a big win, but we'll speak about that when we speak about them. Anyways, boys, let's get into it now. Let's speak about Crystal Palace. So then, Crystal Palace, big talking point at the minute. They've just beaten West Ham 2-1 with a 94th minute goal by Elise. Zaha scored again at the London Stadium. It's a tough place to go, and they've went there and got a 2-1 win. Look at the table, they're sitting 9th. Like, that is really, really good for Crystal Palace. Sitting 7 points above the relegation zone and only 2 points behind the likes of Chelsea and Brighton, who have had really good seasons this season. Big win for them. People have underestimated Crystal Palace a lot, and obviously we've played them this season at St James's Park in the league, where we should have won, but if it wasn't for VAR. But there was a game where I had so many chances and whatnot. But will Crystal Palace play the same team that they did on the weekend? It's a tough one to know, because if we have a look, who have Crystal Palace actually got coming up on the weekend? So they've got Nottingham Forest away on Saturday, 3 o'clock kick-off after obviously the game against Newcastle. Would they want to progress to the next round of the Cup, or end off with a win before the World Cup? I don't think Crystal Palace will be able to play the team that have played today against West Ham, and then Newcastle, and then Nottingham Forest. There will definitely be some changes there. Newcastle will 100% be making some changes in that team, but honestly, Crystal Palace have done really, really well this season. They've got 3 wins out of their last 5. They've done really, really well. If we look at their lineup that they did play against West Ham just before, I'm a really big fan of their team. I really am. Their front 4, Jordan Ayew, they've got obviously Edouard, they've got Elise, who I'm a massive fan of. Eze is a really good player. Wilfred Zaha knows where to find the back of the net. Got a really good defence as well, and obviously Anderson and Guay. Mitchell's proven himself in the Premier League. Nathaniel Klein's came back and revealed his career at Crystal Palace, but I'm definitely gonna see some changes for Palace. If we look at their bench, like Milivojevic came on. He was actually the only substitution Crystal Palace made. Not a good sign if they're going to be playing these players against Newcastle. But I see the likes of Johnson Sarton, who they signed from West Brom on a free. Will Hughes will probably start. Mateta. They've got some good players. Look at their bench though. They haven't really got too many big outstanding players who can come into that team. To be fair, I can't really see Crystal Palace making too many changes for the game against Newcastle. Maybe dropping the likes of maybe Zaha and whatnot, but not like they're not going to drop 11 players. They'll probably drop 3, 4, 5 at the max. I can only see them dropping 3 or 4 players, which I'd do the same if I was in Crystal Palace's situation with not the biggest of teams and whatnot. But they've done really, really well this season. Definitely went under the radar, because if they pick up a couple, if they beat Nottingham Forest and Chelsea, and we beat Chelsea, they've got more points than Chelsea this season. People don't look at that. If you told Crystal Palace fans you'd have more points than Chelsea at the break, when after they've spent so much money, they would be thinking, well, we won't be, and they are. Like, they've done really, really well this season. And I remember when they got Patrick Vieira in, it was a massive talking point of, would Crystal Palace get relegated? They've done so well in the last 2 years, well, 2 seasons under Patrick Vieira, but they've done really, really well, and they should be proud of themselves. And if they get knocked out with the cup, I don't think they'll be too disheartened. But I think for Newcastle, if you want to concentrate on trying to get top 4 in Europa League, I wouldn't mind too much. But it's probably the best opportunity to win the cup, when we're going to be playing teams maybe later on in the competition who've got Champions League games, massive Premier League games for top 4 in the league. So many games that can play a part later on into the season where it doesn't affect the likes of Newcastle and Palace. So we are the teams to like go for it, but it'll be an interesting one. Let's speak about Newcastle. I feel like all I've done is speak about Newcastle. Obviously this is the third video I'm recording today, and it's not going to be the last. Obviously Newcastle United have just beaten Southampton 4-1. Obviously you want to go and see them videos, make sure I watch them, player ratings and rant and reaction, all that stuff is all out on the channel now. But ridiculous today against Southampton. Played really well. I don't want to mention too much about the predicted team because obviously that is the video tomorrow and I just don't want to give it away, but we will definitely make some changes from our starting 11 against Southampton. I can see the likes of Trippier not playing. Callum Wilson, if he's okay, we don't know anything about him yet as of recording this. I can see players coming in who are just gonna who didn't really play, like the likes of maybe Joe Linton, who was suspended for the game against Southampton. I can see him coming in and just obviously normal starter, coming in and doing his job as he normally does. But the way we played against Southampton, it was ridiculous. Just so good. It was, they couldn't handle it. And I know Southampton were a lot worse than Palace, but it will be no matter what team we play. If Botman doesn't play, or we change the keeper, or we change the full backs, if we change the whole team, that togetherness the squad's got at the minute will 100% get us something. But obviously last time, as I mentioned, when we played Crystal Palace back in September, I think it was early September, obviously it was a 0-0 draw. Should have won the game, really disappointing, but Palace done really well in that game. Newcastle done really well. It was one of the games where we couldn't find the back of the net, and when we did, VAR chalked it off because of just pure bullshit. But what can you do? I haven't got really too much to say. You've seen all the other videos about Newcastle and whatnot. I haven't really got much more to say. We're just doing bits, and we should do it again on Wednesday night against Palace. If I've got to say a prediction now, obviously I'm recording this on the Sunday, don't know anything about injuries or team news, I am going to say a cheeky Palace are a good team though, and obviously it would be entertaining if it went to pens. Nah, I don't want pens. I've said this prediction a lot recently, but I'll go 2-1 Newcastle. I can see Palace maybe scoring if I've got a different defence playing, but I'll go 2-1 Newcastle. Should get the win and hopefully progress to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. But that is the end of the preview. Make sure you leave a like, boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It would be nice if you could do so. Anyways, boys, see you all in the next one. Have a good one. See you all for the predicted team tomorrow and the vlog on Wednesday. Howie the lads.